Lawrence Edwin Farrington, 1908 through 1981. Eddie Farrington started his seafaring career on a turtling vessel at the young age of 12. He went on to sail on schooners, serving as cook, sailor, and mate before sailing on steamships. He joined the Merchant Marine in 1926. In 1940, during World War II, while traveling on the SS Stanport carrying supplies from New York to England, the crew was captured by Germans, who then torpedoed their ship. They were fortunate in that the norm was to torpedo the ship with the crew aboard. Eddie spent 4 years in a concentration camp in Germany along with 6 other Caymanians, and there he learned the trade of shoemaking. Upon his return to Cayman, he employed his new skills in making and repairing shoes during breaks between trips to sea, and he taught quite a few young men, including his son, the trade. He also contributed his skills to the community by repairing footballs and cricket balls free of charge. He retired from sea in 1975.
The Rotary Central Easter Hunt and Story Time is Saturday, April 8th. Children are about to have a marvelous Easter experience. The Rotary Central Easter Hunt and Story Time at the Rotary Schoolhouse, the Queen Elizabeth II Botanical Park in Frank Sound. 11 a.m. through 12:30 p.m. This exciting Easter event includes Eric the Magician, sing along with Miss Aliyah, face painting by Art for You Limited, refreshments, arts and crafts, prizes, goodie bags, lip smacking pizza, compliments of Domino's Pizza. This is a free Rotary event for children 10 years and under who must be accompanied by adults. Yes, Saturday, April 8th at the Botanical Park. Easter fun comes alive. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dan. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us on another fantastic Friday. Whether you have fish on Fridays, whether you enjoy individual, whether you are like many with the promise and potential of what may be another blessed and productive weekend. Well, we invite you to be a part of our open line segment. My good friend Mario hopefully will sit with us as we share and invite and encourage and through an enthusiastic, energetic and engaged conversation we might be able to either stir the pot or solve the problems. Hey, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow, Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Open line on this Friday. A few of the things that we had in store. Sometimes schedules change, and what is it they say? You got to pivot. They say. It's like my friends who played netball. They wanted to make sure, that they were in the right position. Kind of like some of us some days when we getting into the political fray. 894-980-37-949-6990. Or toll free with a couple of minutes of flow. 1-800-534-8255. Hey, share your thoughts with us. Be a part of our discussion. Help us, to do the right thing always. It's always good. So if you're out with Miss Ventisha and the others on the lawn of the glass house, be interested to see what your thoughts are. Hope you're enjoying not just the food, the fun, the festivities, but there's some fellowship. And as you look at the various displays of our cultural, as one individual shared with me, say almost like a kaleidoscope. Almost. Well, let me know what you think. Well, with that in mind, I think like many of us, we're always appreciative of the ways of our elderly, the way our ancestors, did things, a sense that they had of waste not, want not, but they shared and share, like they gave, tirelessly. And sometimes, thanklessly. We didn't seem to appreciate it. But they didn't do it for recognition or reward, whether that was in some sort of remunerated pay or whether it was some other public display. They did it because it needed to be done. They served with a sense of reverence and respect. And they served, because for them it was truly about making their families, their communities, their world, what was around them, even better. Now, some say there was other necessity, perhaps that's where we see the inventions. Some say that there was, nothing more than subsistence living. But then how do you measure your standard of living, your quality of life? If you have the freedom and the sense of safety and security, you live in harmony with others, from your family and friends and neighbors to you at peace in your own mind and spirit. Certainly must be enjoyable. How many struggle, friend said one time to another, he said, conscience is a bad thing when you're not doing the right thing. So when their conscience is at ease, and it may be that they had insufficient food to sustain them, but their minds and conscience and everything were at peace, and as they said their prayers and went off to that slumber, they know they could awake, prayerfully, to another day with the promise of maybe doing even better, not just for themselves but for others. And I ask that as I reflect on an earlier conversation where, for many of us, I don't know if it's the desire to make an impact, whether it's good, bad, or different, or once it's, for the individual's benefit. All right, as we go into the break, a quick public service announcement on behalf of Mr. Isaac Rankin, the MP for East End, extending a warm, cordial invitation to the public to attend a public meeting at the East End Heritage Field this coming Tuesday, the 28th of March, 7 p.m. If you need transportation, you can call 926-2784. It says East End first, and light refreshments will be served. So MP Isaac Rankin is inviting, especially the constituents of East End, to a public meeting at East End Heritage Field this coming Tuesday, 7 p.m. If you need transport, 926-2784 is the number to call. All right, we'll try to do our best to, participate with our parliamentarians and help them to inform the public of those gatherings. But let's pause and take a break, and when we come back, join us as Mr. Mario Rankin will sit and share from his perspective.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce. All piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Town. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Barry's Golden Jerk, the Cayman Brac sensation, ranked the #1 restaurant in Cayman Brac by TripAdvisor and home of the authentic jerk. Barry's Golden Jerk, serving large portions of the best jerk chicken and pork. Open Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday near the airport, or call 917-6713. Barry's Golden Jerk. It's simply better.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks for joining us. And thanks to Mario D. Rankin. When we look at the initials, sometimes it's good, what was it, MDR. You got it? It's working?
Yeah, man.
Can you hear? All right. Can you hear me now? No, I can't hear. Can you hear me now? All right. But we can hear, we're listening, and hopefully through a bit of laughter, there'll be some learning. And hopefully through that learning, there'll be a greater sense of us needing to stand in the gap. So good afternoon, man. How are you today?
Pretty good, man. Thank you for, again, allowing me to come on Radio Cayman. And obviously, we always find ourselves where we run into each other here on Radio Cayman. Seems like the road not long enough for us to run into each other on the road. But anyway, always a pleasure to come to Radio Cayman.
All roads converge, they say. Mm-hmm. But it's a good place for that to happen. And it's interesting sometimes when we look at the Cayman landscape. And for me in particular, perhaps even today, and through you, perhaps the listeners, maybe to reflect on a number of things. Mm-hmm. I hope it's okay to say to you publicly, I commend you for willingness to say some of the things you say, stand for what you stand in, and to get people thinking and talking.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Sterling, because I just want to, just make it very clear that when I choose to say something publicly that is of a concern of mine, which I know has a wider impact on the public as well, and a lot of people just aren't able to say it publicly. They'll say it privately. I don't do it for no other reason than I genuinely concerned about it, really and truly. It's not something I woke up one morning and say, I can go out and seek attention by talking about these things. No, I can tell you, from the day I had my first child, 2021, I realized that this fight was no longer just for me. It was for somebody else that I'm responsible for. It's different when you got siblings, you fight for them too. But when you have a child that you are obligated, at least in my opinion, to take care of until the day you die, then the whole thing, your whole perspective of life and the trajectory of what you were doing changes. At least it did for me.
I think it does for most of us, we look at perhaps our parents and grandparents, and our aunts, maybe we get that from them, but it also impacts us when we become a parent. But I wonder, though, with you saying that, how many of us as parents, as adults, whether we're a biological or adoptive parent or some sort of parent by default, teacher, and I wonder how much we understand how important it is and are willing, the courage to speak, to stand, to do, to say, to act.
Well, when we use the term education, right, we think that it means school.
Yeah.
But most education is learned outside of school. The things that we learn that impacts our lives the most are things that we didn't get from school at all. It was the morals and the bringing up, the people who we had the opportunity to raise us. They taught us the most important life lessons.
It's interesting, and I know this will offend some people. It's probably because of when I say it, how I say it, to whom I say it, but we got this term soft skills. And I feel like in saying it that way, describing them as such, is a disservice, because those are not soft skills. The manners, the sense of consideration, care, compassion, those are important things.
Absolutely.
And yet, we understand that they should be introduced and taught in schools, but they should be, a primary focus within the homes.
Yeah, and I'll say this, right? It happened to me just less than 3 weeks ago. I traveled back to Florida for just a couple of days, right? And I went into IHOP, and when the lady served us at the table, and she brought the coffee, I said, thank you very much. She said, anything else you need, sir? I said, no, ma'am. So she stopped and she said, gee, she said, let me guess, you from the Caribbean? I said, yeah. I said, well, why you say that? She said, because, believe me, I've been working here for 15 years. And she said, it's very rare someone comes through that door that has that level of manners and demonstrate it. She said, but I could tell you from the Caribbean, because I know that that's a very serious thing in the Caribbean. Manners and respect. But I said to her, well, it's just a habit. I mean, that I was brought up that way.
Yeah.
So.
And thanks for sharing that, because unfortunately sometimes, and I'll ask you again, because I've been asked to consider a few things recently, and it's interesting to watch the dynamic. And I don't believe that we as, if my friends would say, well, he considers himself an adult, so today I'll be an adult. We as adults and as parents, we understand how important it is to demonstrate by example, right? So in that context, and in Cayman, sometimes when we are polite, others may see that as a sense of weakness. When we go to other places and we demonstrate that, we sometimes may be made to feel, or may have interpreted by the other person when we demonstrate that sort of, mannerism, as being less than. So I say that to emphasize two things. A Caribbean national living in a North American country. We're on the phone having a chat. That's the beautiful thing of the technology these days. Says, don't worry, I'm just in the store. I'm getting something. So as she shops, and I can hear the exchange quite well. And she's polite. Now, this is not a person that is necessarily under 50. So put it that way. So suppose they're mature, responsible, professional, independent, and the like, and is asking politely, do you have this? I know sometimes you have this other one. And in the exchange, you can see the increasing frustration on the other person, because what is in a natural, like you said, attempt at being cordial and polite, it's just the norm, is somehow frustrating the other side for some reason. And I thought after that exchange, she said, how do I interpret that? Is it because of my skin color? Is it because I'm a woman? Is it because, this is being perceived as being nice, so I'm easy in a pushover? Interesting, right?
Very.
And then the flip side, in the Cayman context, that should be the norm amongst us.
Right.
And yet there are some of us, and are primarily limited to the Caribbean nationals from the Caribbean region living in the Cayman. I wonder to what extent we forget the importance of demonstrating that level of respect, civility, manners to each other.
Yeah. Well, I think for the most part, when we when we lose touch with that side of us or who we are originally because of how we were brought up, is because we get distracted by so many other, one, cultural differences that we're trying to adapt to, and two, being able to stay sustainable, that we can survive, especially in a jurisdiction such as ours, where we've allowed almost every institution to self-develop and self-regulate. Hence the reason why we see a lot of the issues we face today when it comes to cost of living.
Right.
So those things distract us very easily from the basic morals in which brought us up. And we can become disconnected for such a long time that we become, we become immune to behaving that way until one day maybe someone will subtly remind you that, hey, look, you came from better bringing up than that.
Yeah.
But again, what do it do to us from an overall standpoint in regards to how people receive you and how you receive people, right? Because not only that you may put off a bad feeling, you may also be receiving a bad feeling simply because you have disconnected and become immune for after such a long period of time. Then you become a different person. And how do we? And for me, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor in any way, but I do know this. Yeah, I can learn from my own personal mistakes, and I can also speak from my own personal experiences. Right. And I've seen it, and I've seen myself change over the years. At one point, there was a certain environment I went into that I never used any manners at all because I knew that those people would not would not respond to being a respectful person with all these manners. They would just trample you and take advantage of you. So you could go in there with your armor on and make sure that you don't become a statistic, right? And that's just how you got to bob and weave. So.
All right. So with that, I'm glad you referenced that. I'm glad that for some of us we understand that is unfortunately the dynamic in some places, right? Saying that there's a saying many have shared: if you can't beat them, join them, right? So I
Or you gotta kiss it till you can kick it.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe come back to that one, right? So I use that phrase in relation to what I see unfolding in the Caymanian society amongst Caymanians relative to behaviors, right? Driving on the road, whether you're a bus tour or some licensed operator, in order to get the fare, you gotta hustle. You gotta make sure that you break the rules. Because if not, then you'll be the one left out. Everybody else is, so you better. If you can't beat them, join them, right? Or you're in the office environment, whatever that looks like, you got to be cutthroat. You got to be ruthless. Because if not, then dog eat your supper, right? Or maybe it's not that. Maybe there are other things. The corners you need to cut. The less than stellar behavior, professionalism, ethics, those things, right? Now, in saying that, as I reflect on the conversation earlier, it was asked, is that what is the consciously happening, or B, unconsciously, because we see it, and that's our survival instinct. You can't beat them, join them, so you can't change it. And is that a consequence of why the cultural ethos has shifted from the courtesy? This was the example given. You're driving along the road, the vehicle is coming out of a parking lot, or
and you stop to let them out.
You stop, you let the person out, and they wave, and it was nice, right? To now, the person in that parking lot or secondary road sees you and is flashing, blowing the horn, waving the hand aggressively. Wait a minute, you can let me out, right? I mean, and forces the way into traffic. Now, those two are very distinct behaviors. The former was the one that was the norm in the past, a very courteous, gesture. Hey, come on into traffic.
Yeah, but we got to understand, and you're right. But we got to remember now, and not to cut you.
No. I don't know. You add to my value. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And the reason why I say that is because remember now, in times past, you didn't have the congestion that you have now.
Okay, fair enough.
You didn't have the sense of urgency to be back at that 1 hour mark on your lunch break.
Okay.
Right? So whereas if you were leisurely driving on a Sunday where you didn't have any obligation to get to and from point A, B at a certain time,
right,
you may have stopped and let that person out without them having to make a gesture, right? But now you at the 12 o'clock rush hour and it's 12:45 and you're still 15 minutes, 20 minutes away from work. the last thing on your mind is stopping to creating further delays, which means letting somebody over the side road or whatever the case is. So that changes the dynamics. Now, what caused that is because we have an influx of multiple cultural differences. That's number one. Now, I know I've been on roads in Florida just recently and last year during the whole boat racing season, and I'm driving down the road in the neighborhood where I keep the boats, right, at this facility, and I would stop and let somebody out, and the guy's like, oh, like, you do that? I'm like, yeah, well, that's kind of a thing we would normally be doing, a little courtesy here and there. And they found that foreign, right? But it's because they come from an environment that forces them to be on a hustle and bustle time frame. But I think when we look at all of these things happening within our society, and then we starting to become that way from a behavioral standpoint as well, there's logical reasons for everything mostly, right?
Okay.
And again, we have to always try to stick a pen and say, okay, how do we digest all of the cultural differences we currently have to deal with on a day-to-day basis? Okay. Or do we continue to leave the door open?
So informally, right? Because I'll just exaggerate and say we got 1,000 nationalities, different nationalities here, right?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Feels that way.
Yeah. We, a few individuals have embarked informally on a cross-cultural analysis and comparison. And picking regions because it's perhaps easier to see behavior. So take the global map and look at behaviors of regions relative to certain things and see what that behavior is like across regions. So since we're talking traffic, transportation, let's just lump it in. In say the Nordic region, you hop on the tram, the train, whatever that transport vehicle is, and there's no question as to whether or not you're expected to have had the requisite pass to be on the requisite route, and you've paid your fare. If not, the citizens will look at you in a way that would cause you to feel like you've done something that is highly offensive to the societal norm. Now, there are other regions, whether in the Caribbean, whether in Asia, whether in other places where they may be similar or may be completely different. You include North America, right? You jump the turnstile, you jump on, you try to beat the system. It's only $1 or $10 or whatever the sum is, but you're not going to pay it because that's the ethos there. Two very distinct.
Well, we must also remember that it's not the systems that dictate our behavior, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's the nature of the beast that dictates the behavior.
Okay.
Just like how you have, and I hate to use this analogy, just like how some people who are murderers and you have some people who are not.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter what system or environment or country they're in, right? So when you see that sort of behavior from an international and various location standpoint, right?
Right.
You have some people who just always want to get from point A to point B no matter what's at stake quickly, and they'll complain about the system or they won't or whatever, or they try to change it.
I hear you. But the question is, right, if you take someone who may come from a particular mindset or environment or belief system that, listen, if to get ahead, I need to push into traffic, I need to jump the turnstile, I need to run into the stream without pain. And they were then into, say, the former scenario of a region where the cultural ethos, the societal norm is, no. You pay your fare, you go on. That person will stand out.
Well, yeah, I agree. You're right. But did it ever occur to you that, and I've seen it in Cayman, because we got 132 different nationalities.
I'm still waiting to hear the difference in them.
To be a little lenient on the situation. But did it ever occur to you that, and I've seen this scenario where a person leaves where they come from willingly, and it's premeditated. Because they pack their bags, they buy a ticket,
very consciously
they pick a calendar, they pick a date on the calendar, so it's premeditated to the fullest, right?
Yeah.
So they leave their country, they come to another country. I won't say here because I'm not labeling us.
No, it's just right.
They leave their country, go to another country, they settle in, they get a job, and then automatically, the very reasons why they left their country for, they find themselves trying to convert that country into their country.
Yeah,
and I find that extremely confusing. Oh, why don't you guys do this? Because this is what we do back home. Then why didn't you stay back home if you wanted to enjoy the convenience of what you want us to do?
Interesting, huh?
And it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, there's something very clear to hear. And this is why I always leave them with, and they'd be thinking, I think they blow a fuse. I say, guys, let's be clear on one thing.
Yeah.
I don't live where you from. You live where I'm from, which clearly indicates that I have what you want. And you don't have anything I want. Meaning, let's find a way to coexist. Let's find a way for you not to offend my environment by trying to implement yours. After that being the very reason why you ran away.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
So, yeah.
After the break?
After the break.
Hey, see, this is a man with great thought, you know. I think if you live in the area of Machiavelli and Tesla and the like, from
The
Plato
world would
to
be a different
Socrates, yeah, you would have been, you know, hailed amongst the rest, all right? Call and challenge what we shared. Call and compliment with the I, or call and compliment with the E. We want to be a part of this discussion. If you know the difference, call Paul. And he probably can look it up. All right, stay tuned. Join us after the break.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Now is your chance for big savings on all GE appliances at Brand Source Home Gallery. Shop now through the 31st and save 15% on all GE appliances, laundry centers, refrigerators, ranges, cooktops, wall ovens, beverage centers, wine coolers, hoods, and more. Now through the 31st at Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Don't miss this chance to save 15% on all GE appliances. Hurry in today and save big. And also find fantastic deals on scratch and dent appliances.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Breakfast is back this Saturday, March 25th, starting at 7 a.m. at the Lions Community Center. Enjoy a tasty Caribbean breakfast of fried fish and fritters, liver and onions, ackee and saltfish, along with turtle gumbo and turtle stew starting at only $12. And help support your community. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman supports sight screening, prostate and colon cancer awareness, Miss Teen, Spelling Bee, and so much more. Get your Caribbean breakfast and support the Lions Club of Grand Cayman in their community efforts. This Saturday, March 25th, starting at 7 a.m. at the Lions Community Center.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Puritan Cleaners.
Puritan Cleaners, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. 2 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine, free pickup and delivery services available. Call Puritan Cleaners 949-7104. Also ask about our in-house discounts. Puritan Cleaners, you feel good when you look good.
Puritan Cleaners, 949-7104. That's 949-7104.
Let me tell you something. I've been fishing our island since I was a boy, and it's getting harder and harder to get a good catch. Maybe it's because there are so many more people in Cayman than ever before. Maybe it's because of how the climate is changing. I don't know about that, but I do know that I want to be able to keep fishing and teach my children to fish one day as well. So it makes sense to me that we have certain areas and certain times of the year to fish for certain things. It feels unfair not to be allowed to fish where my dad taught me to fish, but I know that being patient now means we can keep fishing for many more generations. We're all in this together, right?
For more info, download the Cayman DOE app or visit doe.ky.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to Mr. Mario D. Rankin for being our guest. Good way to close of the week in your company. Hopefully, spark some interest, some meaningful discussions as we go through with the deliberate, conscious, hopefully positive perspective of making some meaningful choices over the weekend. So come Monday, we'll start the week right. But we do have a call online. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon to you both.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you, Mom?
Just
I almost would want to joke and say, I know the next elected member for, but I won't do that.
Savannah Newlands.
Hey.
I'm sitting in my sitting room watching the both of you, so y'all can both wave me.
We can wave you? Should I wave you like this or like that? I mean, thank you for listening and watching, and thank you for calling and sharing.
Yes. I want to put these calls to Mr. Rankin.
Mm-hmm.
Mario, what do you think about in town? What do you think about meters on our roads?
Meters?
And like how we have in the US, when you park up there and the meter runs out, and you get a
parking
ticket
meters.
for it. Parking meters, yes. And what do you think about it in town here for these cars that is parked here and there? And I know the majority of them has owners, and if it doesn't come in town to retrieve them, they should be mashed and put off the road, because we got so many cars parked here and there that is look like not being used, or they park up there at hours of the night and leave them there. And
yeah,
it is just mind-boggling to see how our roads are becoming when it comes to all these cars parked up here and there. Down at the distillery across from Tortuga, on both sides of that road there, you've got a sidewalk there. If you go down there right now, you would see the amount of cars that are parked up as you enter in, all the way going in. And I don't know who the MP is for that area, but they ain't doing nothing about it. And also up on Red Gate, Mr. Brian had that cleaned up very well. I must give him credit for it. And now they're adding 1-1 there again.
Mm-hmm.
On the main road, and there's a big sign there, a fine.
Right.
What you were saying, I applaud you 110% of what you were saying, and it is true, And when you said having your coffee in IHOP or wherever you was at, I remember one time I had a visitor and something was occurring at the port or something, and he said, these people are too damn apologetic. They didn't like them about apologizing, that kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get them, and you're vehicle and they're being nice, yes ma'am, no ma'am, and so forth, and they're like, so that's how you all the time. I still don't know how you was raised.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many of us is doing it, but that's how I was raised, and I'm going to take it off until I'm not there with you guys, But I just want to say that I am not here to castigate nobody in the NP, but whatever took place the other day, the people of this island that put these people into the house, we need an explanation of what took place, and I don't care how pretty it is,
Amen,
how ugly it is, but they need to come out and tell the people exactly what happened, because I am sick and tired of this country hiding things from the people of this country that puts them in there or don't put them in there. And let me tell you something. When I have my people in my vehicle with me, I do not but cup up my country and make them make believe that over here is a bowl of ice cream and cake. I tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Anything that is going to make us look extra pretty, I am not polishing nothing for no visitor to come here, because the internet is there, and people travel and people talk. And they're not going to say that I lied to them. You understand? So I just want to say that, we, the people of this island, need an explanation what took place. They got people that was registered on a voting list, and they take them off the voting list. And I was trying to call yesterday to find out, what crime do you have to do to get your name taken off the voters list that you cannot vote no more in the Cayman Islands? Somebody need to answer that question. I did try calling yesterday, but I didn't get through. I want to know what is the crime has to be, how long the crime has to be for, and what nationality it has to be. Because we have a lot of people here in our city, they're Caymanian by paper. I have nothing against that. But when the sheep pull for one, it should be pulled for all. And Sterling, I still have the peppers for you, don't worry.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so, Mr. Rankin, let's see if we can prop up a little bit on the in-town and the meter readers on our roads and people that are taking their private homes and turning them into rental and don't have sufficient parking space for them to park in their yards.
Well,
what can be done about that? Also, on our main street, we have a private home that is a partial storage garage, a storage to the Newlands area, and we got an MP that lives so close by. We got a premier crossing that yard every day, and nothing is being done about it. They are down in here. They tear up my road now must be a year, and all now we can't get this road fixed. But they can go around and do this road spray and chip here and there, and then they go and put all these nice roads out there, and Water Authority and every company come and dig them up and don't put them back how they find them.
Yeah.
And what they do, mash up our front ends of our vehicles. I'll leave you guys with that. So I'll wait to hear what you're going to say.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling, Mr. Rankin.
Well, Miss Jan, I can tell you, forgive me for calling your name, but one, the situation with the parking meters, again, I will say that I'm not an expert. That's not my expertise, but I totally understand what you're saying. The problem is that, especially when it comes to the greater Georgetown area, planning, and I'm not going to blame planning department. I'm just saying our planning structure didn't in the past allow to have proper parking for buildings and commercial buildings and businesses. So that's the reason why we ended up with cars on the side of the road. It just was poor infrastructure planning to begin with. That's number one. To implement meters now for people parking on the side of the road, it may be a good thing, but then we need to fix the overall cost of living now before we go and add anything to it, right? Because that's going to cause an issue. Now, I'm not saying I don't support the idea. I'm just simply saying
timing.
Timing, and there's some things that need to be done. Now, as far as derelict vehicles being parked on road shoulders, her and I agree 1,000% on that one. The fact is that I know that the ministry and the Department of Environmental Health did implement some things recently, because I have friends and family that live in certain neighborhoods where this was taking place, and a lot of the cars had to be moved off the road shoulders. And to her point, the cars are gradually coming back on the side of the road. The problem is when we live in a free enterprise like Cayman, where everybody is allowed to do whatever they can legally to make money, and when I say legally, it's not illegal for a person to have more than one vehicle in a yard.
Right.
It's not illegal for a person to bring in vehicles, and in some cases, we've seen some people build a one-bedroom unit onto their house in order to subsidize the money that they make in order to pay bills at the end of the month. So
right.
under no way would I suggest that a person couldn't do that. Now, if we had proper structure and planning in place that allow these things so that the overall picture of that and the outcome would be more sustainable, I think that's what we need to focus on.
Right. So after news break, right?
Yeah.
That issue, the cultural norm and the idea of enforcement and the behaviors and let's pick up on it next month some more. Huh?
Yeah.
All right. Join us after the news.
Radio Cayman, the voice, the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
The Cayman Islands government is currently monitoring the Great Atlantic Sargassum Belt, a patch of seaweed stretching more than 5,000 miles and estimated to weigh more than 10 million tons, which is currently drifting through the Caribbean Sea towards the Gulf of Mexico. The Department of Environment, DOE, and the Cayman Islands National Weather Service have access to regional sargassum forecasting and tracking systems, including NOAA's predictive sargassum model. Nevertheless, government officials say it remains difficult to predict local stranding events before they occur. A combination of interrelated factors, including prevailing winds and complicated near-shore currents, contribute to whether floating sargassum lands on local shores. In international news, King Charles III's state visit to France has been postponed indefinitely amid widespread protests over President Emmanuel Macron's pension reforms, putting a damper on the new monarch's debut on the international stage. Charles and his wife Camilla will still travel to Germany on Wednesday in what was scheduled to be the second leg of his first overseas trip since ascending the throne in September. The original 6-day visit to France and Germany, the two biggest countries in the European Union, was designed to highlight efforts to rebuild relations between Britain and its neighbours after 6 years of squabbling over Brexit. The immigration deal expected to be announced Friday by U.S. President Joe Biden and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau would end a process that has enabled tens of thousands of immigrants from across the world to move between the two countries along a back road between New York State and Quebec. Trudeau's government is expected to announce as part of the agreement that 15,000 migrants from the Western Hemisphere will be given slots to apply to enter Canada. The policy applies to people without U.S. or Canadian citizenship who are caught within 14 days of crossing the border and will enable both countries to turn away asylum seekers at their borders, according to Canadian officials who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss the deal before it was formally announced. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanna Gallego.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
The headline news are brought to you by Health Services Authority.
HSA's cardiology clinic is now located at Smith Road Medical Center. Our cardiology team provides expert care and treatment for heart conditions such as coronary artery disease, heart failure, arrhythmias, hypertension, congenital heart diseases, among others. The new location offers state-of-the-art cardiac diagnostic testing, including echocardiograms, ECGs, and stress tests. To contact, call 949-8600. At HSA, your heart matters to us.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born September 25th, 1947 at Watering Place, Cayman Brac, Royce Adolphus Dilbert was the firstborn son of Helen and Grace Dilbert, née Tibbets. Like many of the men of his time, he spent many years at sea. During his breaks from sea life, Mr. Dilbert employed his diverse skill sets. He worked at Alfred Scott's block factory as a mechanic with Eston Scott, and his uncle Bergman Dilbert performed dynamite blasting in Cayman Brac with the late Reverend Lee King, as well as worked at MRCU in Grand Cayman. He was also an entrepreneur selling fruits, cars, and tires, and painted and repaired vehicles. His mechanical skills proved immeasurable when in 1979, working in the Campeche Bank oil field, Mexico, his ship was chartered by Halliburton to supply material to cap the exploratory well which blew out in Mexico's Bay of Campeche. In 1981, he retired from sea and took employment with the Cayman Brac Power and Light Company as chief engineer, where he remained until his retirement in December of 2018.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And the phone lines are there if you want to share a thought with us. 949-8037, 949-6990. Toll free to compliments of flow, 1-800-534-8255, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261. Mario D. Rankin. You spark much discussion and insight as we continue maybe we pick up where we left off. If you remember and remind me, if not, we go somewhere else.
Yeah. We were just trying to answer Miss Jan's questions in regards to some of the derelict cars and the meters and the different things that and the person in which she spoke about at the very end, the house that has it kind of looks like a storage facility for truth. She's not telling no lie.
Yeah.
But again, we have to be super careful how we speak about things, and I'm not talking about her, I'm talking about me and everybody else, because at the end of the day, right, when you look at that particular residence where the man who I happen to know too, right, and he used to have a garage, you see, but during COVID he was unable to keep it open, and a lot of the cars that he had owned or that he was working on that belonged to him personally, he had to end up taking home to the only place that he have. And we must understand that the fixed boundary law is very clear, right? That within those fixed boundaries, once it's in his name, it belongs to him.
Right.
Right. And whatever I don't think there's any covenant or anything down in that area, because that was low income homes that was, put in there. So I think Ms. John, that might be the challenge that everybody having in regard. I'm sure that his neighbors may feel the same way, but there's no real legal leg to stand on, because again, and then we must look at it from his point of view for a second too, right? Because here's a person that had a business that had to close down, that he had to move all of his stuff to his local residence because he didn't have any anywhere else. Should we tell that person to throw your cars away and lose that value that'll just be compounded with? But again, I'm just saying.
But then listening to you, the caller's comments, the message, and then the two messages. One talked about the parking meters, and this one in relation to says, well, we see practice along West Bay Road in front of many of the hotels and condos where I wrote it down bollards, but where you can't park.
Right.
I want to ask about that in relation to the other stuff, and then come back to the
I don't think that's legal, but yeah.
But this is what this person is sharing, and it ties in with the derelict vehicles. But let's take this call first, all right?
Okay, sure.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. We're trying to make difficult times here and there, but making the best of it. And how you all doing?
Well, giving thanks, man. We're doing great, man. Doing great.
Yes, I know you are one of the advocates about the gasoline and diesel and things like that, Mr. Mario, on here, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, today makes record history for the biggest tanker to arrive Grand Cayman, as I recorded in history, with quantity of cargo-wise. I mean, what it carries when it's fully loaded. It will be arriving there today, and it's a 55,000-ton tanker. That means 55,000 tons of cargo that it carries when it's fully loaded. It's coming from the Dominican Republic, where it discharged part cargo. Brand new tanker, just a few months old, owned by Saudi Arabia. Fatima, Fatimah. And want to talk about what I always said about the excuses about we are an out-of-way place, why our prices have to be higher, right? That was reported, but I know better than that. I'm the one that keeps track of most of the world's shipping all over the world, Cayman Islands. Actually, the last one came there, left yesterday, came fully loaded from Houston, Texas, pumped out in Grand Cayman, and it's gone on to Costa Rica. Moyen in Costa Rica to supply them with their fuel. This one now is from the Dominican Republic on the westbound leg, probably discharging more cargo in Grand Cayman and going on to Houston. I think that's where the next destination will be. So we are right in the midst of the routes of these tankers coming from the U.S. Gulf, mainly Houston, sometimes from Mobile, Baton Rouge, Corpus Christi, various ports going to the Eastern Caribbean, supplying them. And if they don't come to us directly fully loaded, mostly loaded, then we get it on the return voyage when they're going to come and pump out the last of the cargo in Cayman Brac and then go on to the U.S. Gulf. So we are right within the of passage for these tankers not being an out-of-way place. And I read one report that said a tanker could take up to 1 month to reach the Cayman Islands. Totally nonsense. That would mean the tanker would have to be coming from Saudi Arabia. That takes a little over a month from Saudi Arabia to Cayman Islands. From the U.S., only 3 days from Houston to Grand Cayman, Corpus Christi, and places like that. I don't know where that information ever came from to say that the tankers that Ruby's have takes a month to reach the Cayman Islands, but I read a report on that on the internet. That was a few months ago.
Right.
That was just annoying to be such an incorrect report.
I think, Mr. Scott, I think I read the same report you did too, and I thought the same thing. But
One moment. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yeah, you're coming in and out, but I can hear what you're saying.
I'm hearing you a bit weak. You know, these unreliable cell phones, what they give.
I agree. What I was saying is I read the article you referring to as well, and you know what the justification for it taking 30 days to get to us was? I read at least this is what I gathered from what they said. They were saying that because when it left the Bahamas, and this is this particular one, I don't know about all of them, that it made a full Caribbean loop before it got to Cayman, which means Cayman was on the last leg, and it got delayed in one of the ports for an extra couple of days more because of weather or something. That's what I read. I could be totally wrong, but sometimes they put these things in there and they want us to believe that the surface of what it was is the truth. But when you really read into it, you find out where all of the anomalies are.
Yes, correct. Most unlikely that if that occurred one time, because these tankers are on high demand and they got to get going quickly. When
That's right.
The off Cayman Brac waiting on weather to subdue, good weather to come in, they are losing lots of money.
That's
the
right.
charter rate now for some of those Rubis tankers, that size tanker, is the highest it ever been in history, up to $45,000 for 24 hours. Almost $2,000 an hour.
Yeah.
It used to be $10,000 and $15,000 about a year ago, and now it has skyrocketed because of the demand for diesel and gasoline and jet fuel and all that over the world and the Caribbean.
That's right.
Yes, so the cargo came from Houston, the last cargo, direct from Houston to Grand Cayman, and then the ship went on to Costa Rica, like I said before.
All right. Well, hopefully, as maybe more and more what you share, Mr. Scott, people will start to appreciate that sometimes they can trust what they read or hear, but maybe it's imperative that they verify, as you shared, so that they know for themselves directly. Anything else, Mr. Scott? If not, thank you. No.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Mr. Scott.
The barge loading for Grand Cayman with crushed rock. That's been a very busy time for exports. Some of the busiest ever from Cayman Brac to Grand Cayman with crushed rock from Scott Development for all that construction that is going on in Grand Cayman. And they say the density of our crushed rock, this is what I heard, is a higher density as a stronger factor in mixing concrete. So it would be a big demand for that in Grand Cayman. At least barge should be leaving here and towing the barge shortly. And I need to say I was up late hours of the night looking out for safety of life at sea again. He didn't call for an emergency, but it was a Guyanese tug coming from America going to Guyana and got into that cold front towing a barge. And the barge was empty, so the barge was actually rising up on the sea and sort of jerking the tug around. And they really had a bad time, and I stayed up till I lost contact with them between here and Jamaica going to stop Montego Bay. That was night before last when we had the bad weather came in. So I continue to be the person, the Maritime Safety Authority for Cayman Islands. I said, who else going to get up around midnight? I don't even have communications at my personal home now.
Yes, sir.
I got to go to my garage, which is 500 feet, to walk to do emergency calls when it comes to monitoring safety of life at sea because I moved back to my house that was under construction for 12 years. Finally got it finished and don't have no communications here. My communications was at the upper house near the public road.
Right.
So now I have to, whenever I get an emergency call, I have to walk through a bush road, footpath, walk away and go up to my garage to communicate with the emergencies at sea. But I need to get that sorted out. I have had a little office with my communications, but since Paloma, that damaged my house and it had to be rebuilt and knocked down and rebuilt. And then the small building next to it was also damaged.
Well, I hope you get it.
Condition because I didn't have the funds to actually deal with that. Just, the high cost of living and keeping up with 2 young daughters and the family and keeping up with my heavy equipment is just too much. And doing the public communication, safety of life at sea that I continue to do. And there was nothing ever made to say to appoint Raymond in this position as a compensation for what I do. And I'm still very upset, and many people are, about how nothing was done about this. Here's a man that is an emergency response person, all hours of the night being awakened to help people at sea, and nobody could provide a special equipment and facilities for me. No money was ever sorted out for that, and if I could do it, I would have done it, but I just don't have the money to deal with things like that.
Yeah.
But I continue to be here if anyone gets in trouble.
Well,
not on pay to do it, but anyone gets in trouble, call Raymond. I'm going to continue doing it because I'm not refusing to help anyone on the high seas when they need help, okay?
Okay. Hey, Mr. Raymond, that's an valiant effort, an invaluable service, and Mom always says good follows good. So if you do it from a heart that's purpose to do good, the benefits will accrue not only to you, but for generations. So hey, thank you for that, and it's good that it's not something you're doing for recognition. Thanks very much, Mr. Raymond. Have a good afternoon, sir. Maybe that's one of the things in our society as we look at some of the changing behaviors, and with respect to what Mr. Raymond was sharing, we can continue talking about, cost of living prices if you want, but revisit back for a second. Let's rewind this notion that there's congestion issues of traffic, there are issues of enforcement of certain things, there are behaviors, and looking at the two messages, you say they're probably similar in the sense that we see along West Bay Road. Now, I'm told it has other major roads, but they're very, very, very noticeable there.
Right.
These, I'm trying to read what the question is. Yeah.
They're
fixed into the...
Fixed cones, yeah. They're screwed into the ground.
Your view, like I've heard many say, they question whether that's legal or not.
Well, I mean, they would have to get permission from NRA. But that's a road shoulder.
Yeah.
Right? And certainly, I just think they done it because when you go look at the areas or you go look in front of the condominium complex in which they are, it's because
it's increasingly so.
Well, but because they're in close proximity of that public access to the beach. So the people who access the beach through that public access typically park along that corridor.
Right.
So
where else would you park?
Well, this is my point exactly, right? So I think again, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these companies are self-regulated. They do their own. They create their own policies as they go along, and then sometimes we find our politicians sitting in the halls of Parliament legislating laws to accommodate.
Yeah,
we've seen it many times. So, I think that because we didn't have a clear infrastructure plan and outlay of what we wanted to develop into, how we want to develop, and as we were going along, we were winging it, right? We just, this is what we're doing now. All right, put it into law. And that's one of the main reasons why we've seen so many things that has become issues today, like access to the beaches, whether the high water mark on the beaches. I mean, you got to remember that when changing the high water mark was the most ridiculous thing ever, right? And we know which politicians did that. So, we got to get away from the notion that when people get old, that means they're nice.
So with that, and we've talked about it a number of times.
Or that they were nice.
And, well, and we're seeing perhaps a situation where increasingly some people are suggesting certain things. So, in that perspective, two things. If we were to put parking meters, for instance, it might be a sensible thing, but as you shared rightfully, is that increased cost at this time a sensible thing to do at this time?
Well, who going to pay for the meters?
Well, there's a cost to the government.
You got to put infrastructure in. That's
right.
Cost. Well, government means people.
Right.
So when you say the word government, equal people.
Increased taxes, increased costs. Right.
And then the people who going to use those spots, again, that's another cost.
Right.
Maintenance costs.
Right.
Cayman don't have that population. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We need to properly manage what we have.
Right.
We need to have proper planning in place that requires every single complex to have adequate parking. End of story.
Yeah. But then when we look at and you again hopefully will get people to think. So it's a cost to put something in place, cost to maintain it, cost to manage it, and unfortunately, I think when we say, "Oh, that's government," they don't do what you just did. Wait a minute, that's us. That's we.
That's us.
The populace, through whatever we want to term it, but the money that we are charged for government services, for importing things into a country,
right.
for licensing fees and what have you, right?
Well, when we look at, all right, I'm going to use one particular place in for an example because it's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the Hurley's roundabout, right, there is a huge apartment complex that built on the water right on the roundabout. I can't remember the name, Aurora or something like that.
Yeah, it's something with 4 stories, about 1,000 feet long.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just tell you how ridiculous we are when it comes to strategic planning. Check this out. Now, before that complex was built, you used to have a direct lane into South Sound. Granted, the lane's still there, but they decided to block it off to accommodate people coming in and out of that complex, which they still have to do beyond the point of the roundabout, which means it didn't help that complex in any way by blocking off this direct shoot into South Sound. So what they're doing, they're forcing people who come in from the eastern districts onto the roundabout to merge into the roundabout exit to South Sound, where everybody else coming out of Hurley's or from town that come around that roundabout can also merge into South Sound in the exact same lane. It's almost like leading people into a bottleneck to crash into each other going into South Sound. And we have the road sitting there, already paved with the sidewalk system in place. Everything's there. But we got it coned off so nobody from the eastern district can go straight into South Sound without going on that roundabout. It is the dumbest design I've ever seen in my life, and we have accommodated that because of that complex. Now, the reason I say that is this. Is every other properly developed and structured place in the world, if you have a development that is going to be built and approved in any condensed area, as a developer, you have to build the accommodating road system for your complex. But no, we got it all the way around. You build the complex, we'll build the road.
But with that, and that's a good example as you described. I was driving along in my mind with you. But I'm sure that's been approved by the requisite authorities.
I don't care who it's been approved by. Yeah. It's absolutely 100% wrong. And because the road was accessible prior to the construction, tells me that there was an approval to have the road open. So then where at what point did the developer lobby for government, who then instructed NRA to block the road? At what point did that happen? Nobody should be able to lobby for government to build a road or block a road for their construction. No, they need to go into a committee meeting. They need to go into planning board and say, guys, here's our 15-room or 100-room complex. Here is the amount of impact it's going to have on the infrastructure. Here's what, and government has, here's what is required for you in order to build this place.
But look at the
road system.
I mean, as you said that, and perhaps people can help me to understand, make sure that I'm not misinformed or inadvertently, sharing information inaccurately. But look at the development under construction just before the public beach. So you're heading north, beyond the governor's the development. There were two things, as you shared, that came to mind. One, there's some issue at some point in the very early stages with turtle nesting and the like, and presumably something had to stop in order to make some accommodation because of either works weren't approved and there was some clearing, there were turtle nests that were being disturbed.
Where this was?
Oh, what's it called? It's the one right after Harbour Heights as you get to, so going north on West Bay Road, you go past the Governors, you got Harbour Heights, and then you got the wall where the public beach is. So that new condo development, something or another,
I know
right
what you're
there.
talking about. Yeah, the one that got the bridge across the street.
Right. So there was that first thing there. Then presumably there were a number.
And then the hotel at Dart building in our public space.
Well, there is that as well.
Hey, listen, if we're gonna talk about it, we got talk about it. I'm not dancing around this thing.
No. But this is what I'm saying. I'm asking because there are many who, and the shavings of the styrofoam on the beach while it was being constructed, the road being impassable for the longest time.
Yep, they blocked the road.
Right, while they were putting this thing over here, right?
Poor planning.
But we make accommodations.
Yeah, we accommodate.
Development, I mean, this is progress.
Well, what I'm saying is that sustainable progress is far different from regular progress. And the thing is that, we can sit down here and kid ourselves all we want. We know why permissions were granted to do all these things. Because these people lobby for the governments that were in charge. That's the fact. Right? And when we look at and don't get me started on that whole public beach acquisition that they had for the 4 Cayman Alliance deal. That the 4 Cayman deal that was the worst deal Cayman has ever seen. Right? And the irony of it is it's called for the Cayman Alliance deal. I mean, you got the largest developer probably in the Caribbean, right? Telling the government that he can build them a road from Bada Banu to Indus Suite, right? And return for that, $37 million thereabout, like $40 million I think it cost. And return to that, you're gonna give us all this freehold land we got between here, Salt Creek all the way down to the Ritz, links to Safe Haven, probably over $2 billion worth of land and development for $37 million road that they should have built to accommodate their development, and the road go through all their land. Who sat down and brokered that deal? Who?
I wasn't there, sir.
No,
check us out. It wasn't me.
All I'm saying is that if we're gonna sit down and can agree that if today Cayman is not where we should be on all fronts, economically, educationally, whatever,
social, political,
everything. If we're not where we need to be, then we must we by default have to agree that it was the politicians before now that caused it. Because they were the ones in charge. Now, I am not saying that some politicians didn't do good things that we benefit from. I'm not saying that.
Right.
I'm saying is that they never sat down and looked at the holistic picture, and they didn't plan 50 to 100 years. They planned every 4 years of the election cycle. That's what they did. And now we got Dart. And I call the name because if you ask somebody who this building belonged to, everybody know who it belonged to. They're building one of the biggest, atrocious hotels on the parking lot grounds that was allocated for the public beach acquisition when they were building the Kempton. When they closed West Bay Road. Where they building that hotel on the opposite side of that connector road that shouldn't be there is where the parking lot was supposed to be. Where the parking lot is now is where the campground was supposed to be. And where the volleyball pitch was where they put the Mexican sand is where the beach and the campers was going to be. But now, what it is, we built a parking lot, put a connector road to the Ritz so they didn't have to go up to the West Bay roundabout to come back town. Now they're building a 10-story hotel. They're going to be filled with guests that is going to accommodate the very same public beach that all we got left to access, and they're going to have parking in front of it to do so. So nobody can tell me that they don't see what's going on. They see what's going on. They're just not doing anything about it. Then we gave up all the links of Safe Haven for $14 million. Pay out 160 acres of land of leased land. We turn over to them for $14 million. Because they built us a $37 million road that access all of their property. Who sat down at the table and negotiated these ridiculous deals? Because my children, your grandchildren, and their children gonna be the ones saddled with this responsibility,
So if the politicians of yesteryear did that as you shared.
Yesteryear? You mean the PPM government? I don't know yesteryear. They still sitting on the opposition aisle.
All right.
They ain't know yesteryear. They still here.
Yeah.
Wayne were part of it too. The sitting premier was a member of the PPM and the minister when they signed that off. Just like the platform for beneficial ownership, Wayne was the guy in charge. You ever heard about a knife that cut on 2 sides? Well, he got 5 sides. He gave a whole new analogy to this thing. But I ain't not worried about that now. I worried about what we going to do as people, as the electorate, as voters. Are we going to sit back? John said something that was very important, Our country had our deputy premier and minister of finance resign effective immediately this week.
Mm-hmm.
And all the premier and his cabinet can just get up and say, we good? We all right? Miss Julie, you the deputy. John, you go on ministry, the Teflon Don. You can throw him in the sky everywhere he land, he become a minister. So, I'm not satisfied with that explanation. They demoted Kenneth, he don't even realize it. Took transportation from him, gave it to Jay. But then you're going to try to tell us that everything good? And Miss Julia sitting down next to you with a pair of darkers on? She couldn't even look the country in the face? Come on, man, we can't be this gullible. And I can tell you this right now. Mario Rankin and his children not going to be paying for their foolishness, We as people need to gather our thoughts, right? And next election, we need to flush this political cesspool. And we need young, innovative. When I watch the youth parliament, man, let me tell you something. I sit down and I listen to that over and over and over. You know why? Because it gives me a little bit more hope that at least our young children are involved and they're applying themselves. Bro, that youth parliament was the highlight of my year. Because a lot of them were saying the things that I've been saying for years. And I've been saying to myself, no, well, hopefully they'll listen now. Because I'm not the only one aware of it. They're aware of it too.
All right, let's take this break. Let's take some calls.
All right.
Stay tuned.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we are introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub.
Say what?
The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the eastern districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
J&M Money touching down again. Now you can send your US dollars at any location on island, including the BRAC. It's easy. Just walk with your US dollars. No need to convert to CI. This is another convenient service available at J&M Money. They always find a way to make it easier and hassle-free. So remember, when you need to send your money and you only have US dollars, don't ever think of what to do. Just head straight to any J&M Money location and send your money the fast, convenient, and affordable J&M Money. J&M Money, touching down again. J&M Money, ranga to la friend.
The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Breakfast is back this Saturday, March 25th, starting at 7 a.m. at the Lions Community Center. Enjoy a tasty Caribbean breakfast of fried fish and fritters, liver and onions, ackee and saltfish, along with turtle gumbo and turtle stew starting at only $12. and helps support your community. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman supports site screening, prostate and colon cancer awareness, Miss Teen, Spelling Bee, and so much more. Get your Caribbean breakfast and support the Lions Club of Grand Cayman in their community efforts. This Saturday, March 25th, starting at 7 a.m. at the Lions Community Center.
Head east on Cove Road. Sharp left on Church Street. Sharper left. No, your other left. Did I say left? No, you missed it. Okay, I'm lost.
With money-saving bundling options for home and motor, we're like a GPS that doesn't steer you wrong. CG BritK. Good like that.
Let's stop and ask for directions.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. And thanks to Mario D. Rankin for sharing. I'll say it to you. Well, first, we got a call online first. Let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon. How are you doing, man? How are you today?
Okay, and good afternoon to Mario too.
Afternoon, sir. Afternoon.
All right. Thanks for calling, man. Thanks for listening.
Okay. So, concerning George Ebanks. Mario Ebanks, brother.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was reading the newspaper concerning situation with him with off-rig. And they actually had him working in the complaints department. And from what he was saying, sounds as though they weren't allowing him to go as far as he needed to in order to take care of these complaints the way that he needed to. I mean, he apologized with concerning his language and maybe his attitude sometimes. But if I had anything to do with it, I would suggest him to go into anger management, but I would try to keep him in that department as long as I possibly could, because by this happening to George now, we actually know what's really going on in off-rig. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
All right. Thanks very much. And I'll leave it to you, Mr. Rankin, as to whether and how and to what extent you wish to reply. But just generally speaking, if the caller is saying that in order to get information to the public, there needs to be certain things transpire, I'm wondering to what extent, given a call for many moons now about openness, accountability, and transparency, government in the sunshine.
All right.
Where is the country in ensuring that things are in the public domain as timely as possible, as much as possible? We're not talking about state secrets and national security and other things. It would appear, again, just drawing inference from the caller's comments, that there's a perception that we, the public, only find out about things after the fact, or because something has happened, and now it only comes out then, but not as a norm. As an example, again, we have discussion often about the potential construction of a new prison facility. Excess of 100 million, we hear different numbers.
And then they want to privatize it.
And then we hear that as well. No, I'm not going to try to castigate anybody. I'm not going to try to malign or.
Yeah, but the facts are the facts.
Well, are they the facts, though? I mean.
Well, anyway.
Yeah. But why?
To the caller's point. To the caller's point. I want to make something very clear, right? You see George Ebanks? George Ebanks is a smart man, Very intelligent man.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know anything about his personal life, other than what he may share publicly. Sometimes, occasionally, he flip a script, and that's fine. When I say that's fine, meaning to each his own. To each his own, right? Maybe the way he advocates stuff is different from the way everybody else do, and they perceive it wrongly. I don't know. Yeah, does he go overboard sometimes? Yeah, we heard the videos, and he should have never called and exposed himself that way. I get it. But what I'm saying is, if we go back to the meat of things, like what the caller said, he said from what he get to understand, he didn't say he knew definitive. He just basically saying that George wanted to bring the hammer down and and go the extra mile in some regards, and he feel like that was one of the reasons why they kind of pushed him out or made him. I don't know what the circumstances, and I don't want to even insinuate anything. I just wanted to remind the public that George Ebanks is a really good, properly educated individual, and he has a really good command on the distribution of fuel and all these different things. And don't get me wrong, the consumer, I think it was a consumer committee that did form that off, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know I never read the bylaws or what the purpose of it was for, other than what was aired on the press release and whatnot. So I don't know whether him leaving was because they wasn't giving him rein to do what he needed to do. I don't know. I can't say anything to that. What I will say is that it's just unfortunate that for far too many times we see people who could make a good impact on something, who has the intellectual ability to do these things, are somehow belittled and probably to because of their own demise or whatever. But even so, as opposed to trying to make sure that we these people don't fall between the cracks, and become discarded, right? Because everybody has something to offer. Everybody has something that they can contribute to the system and society, right? Whether small, big, impactful, none, have something to contribute, right? And when I heard the committee were coming out with that board, when they formed that committee and they had this institution, okay, well, we got extra watchdog over there at Off-Reg, nice, right? We got another department we can call to try to get some answers, and somebody who we can give our complaints to so they can get championed. And then when I heard that he resigned, I'm like, oh man, something had to happen. And I just was disappointed that it was like a pump fake. Like, oh, well, we're going to put this in, and then now it's gone, right? I don't know who the acting chairman is now. I don't even know if he's going to still be a thing after all of this controversy. I don't know. What I do know is this. Is that a lot of the conflicts that happened between Mr. Panton and Chris came because of Off-Reg and the changes and the implementations that Chris wanted to do, because Off-Reg was under his portfolio. Right? And a lot of the head bucking between them came because of the things Chris wanted to implement in Off-Reg. And no secret that the Premier have conflicting interests with C3 and Green Gas. He declared that at nomination day, which he rightfully did. He wasn't hiding the thing. I'm not saying he is now. I'm just saying that when Ms. Jan asked the question earlier, like, we need to know, we need an explanation as to what took place. We see the Compass issue article talking about the emails between the governor and the ex-minister, Mr. Sanders. And I'm reading this article, I'm like, well, what benefit this is to me? You know what I mean? They were arguing over a gambling bill. So, you got people that can't afford to feed their children, and I'm worried about what the governor and Chris had to say about the gambling bill. I don't care. If I'm arguing, if the governor were trying to block a bill for reducing the cost of living, then we got a problem. I interested in hearing that. Or if Chris was trying to block a bill to reduce the cost of living, I interested in hearing that too. You know what I mean?
So is that part of the challenge? We talk about civics and civics education. We talk about the political landscape, but are we actually educating our people on the dynamics of it? Are we as a people sufficiently engaged? With respect, I looked at a couple of the quick messages that came through. I would want to say, at best, they're backhanded compliments towards you, right?
Well,
but why not commend you?
I take the good and bad.
Yeah, and I say that to say that if what you share, like this comment, I'll paraphrase, say, hey, at least somebody's saying something that the public is asking but afraid to, right? So if you're sharing something, why we need to shoot the messenger because we don't like the message?
Well, that's always been the fall guy default, the messenger. He's always the fall guy by default. And it's easier to shoot the messenger than to address the problem that the messenger brought.
But then, by the same token, again, not a political animal, not a political theorist. I didn't study political science, but understanding a little bit about our Constitution, the Westminster model, and what we have. If we have a cabinet that's constituted, and we have a premier with vested powers as per the Constitution, and we know that under the system, a minister of government of cabinet can resign, and that's no big deal, right? In the sense that, or someone else is appointed. If the premier says, or the prime minister,
Well, I mean, I, in all due respect, and I appreciate your opinion, and I'm not arguing that fact. But what I will say is this: is that how do you go from beating two political systems, the PPM and the UDP, or whatever they called themselves at the time of defeat? I mean, no, the PPM never changed their name, but UDP were having some toss-ups in the air, what they were calling themselves, but whatever. How do you come from, and this is why it's a concern, and John had the most important question of the day, right? So this is why it's a problem, Dwayne. You just came from defeating the two political powerhouses, the two parties that were always the alternative, either, right? Then you managed to poach a member from each party to form your own, called the PAC government, right? Okay. I think that was the reason why they call it PAC. I declare no interest in the forming of the PAC, right? Now you went from that to forming a government, electing a cabinet, okay? Now, one would imagine that they all sat down in a horse trading blocks and determined who were going to be the ministers, who were going to be the premier, who were going to be the deputy, who were going to be the speaker, and all these things, right? The important things. Then you have a 2-year run. 2 years, well, next month is 2 years. Okay, so call it 2 years. You had a 2-year reign over the country where you made decisions, you made some policy changes. Yeah, we heard about some of the disputes among the house. Not every household going to be quiet and perfect, so we understand a little bickering and go on. And then all of a sudden now, it wasn't Isaac that resigned, you know. No disrespect to my boy Isaac. What I'm saying is because Isaac is not a minister, right? It wasn't John that resigned, okay? All right. The deputy premier and the minister of finance. Now, let me tell you how important those two roles are, right? The deputy premier acts as premier when the premier is on island. So you are the leader of the country. And the minister of finance makes sure to take care of one of the largest pillars, one of two of our economy. That is a very important role. So when the deputy premier and the minister of finance, after a 2-year reign, after concocting a horse trading deal to form a government, resign effective immediately, Houston, we got a problem. Nobody can tell me that we don't have a problem and that we got a right to resign whenever we want. No. No. There's something else at this table that we need to know about. And I have to second what John said. We as the elected public, we need to know.
All right.
Now, we'll comment on Water Authority mashing up our roads later on, John, but this is not the day, not the time.
All right. Let's take this commercial break. Hey, join us after.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from March 27th till April 1st at his Crew Road Clinic. Clinic appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab. Holy partner.
K-Man, we had to do it again.
What a gal want.
Loud Productions alongside The Bay. The Bay Islands of Honduras official radio station. Present the return of the Bandan series from the Bay Islands of Honduras. For the first time in Grand Cayman, it's Jensen. He's out. Jensen and the boy.
Yo, it's sorry to those brown eyes.
Jensen.
Everybody.
Yes, sir. Hold your partner. It all kicks off on Friday, March 24th at Coral Isle in Cayman Brac. Then on Saturday, March 25th, Bandans arrives to Grand Cayman. Jensen and the boys performing live 8 p.m. sharp at the Mango Tray. Then on Wednesday, March 29th, Jensen and the boys performing live on the beach at Eastern Star Bar, 8 p.m. sharp. Get your tickets now at CaymanEvents.co, the Mango Tree, or at Coral Isle Club in Cayman Brac. For more information or VIP tables, dial 916-7667. All the way from Roatan, the Bay Islands, the Bandan series returns. This time with Jensen and the boys.
Holy partner.
Shop lights, chandeliers, ceiling fans, curtains, rugs, and more at International Lighting Big Parking Lot Sale this Saturday, March 25th, starting from 6 a.m. Lights from $10, chandeliers from $100, ceiling fans as low as $55, recessed retrofit trims $15, save on curtains starting at $10, kitchen rugs from $6, area rugs as low as $100, and so much more. Shop and save at the International Lighting Big Parking Lot Sale only this Saturday, March 25th, starting from 6 a.m. Are you finding your child's behavior hard to manage? Is your child getting in trouble at home and school? Do you want to learn proven methods to support your family? Then SNAP, which stands for Stop Now and Plan, may be right for you. SNAP is a proven model that helps children with behavioral challenges and their parents learn how to effectively manage their emotions and keep their problems small. If your child is between the ages of 6 and 11 years old and experiences behavioral issues at home, school, or in the community, contact the Family Resource Center at frc.gov.ky today. Our next cohort begins April 13th, and our deadline for submissions is March 27th. We are here to support you and your family.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
When the public is safe.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us, and thanks to Mario D. Rankin for sitting. One of our listeners, Mr. Rankin, message, and I said, well, can I read what you
give it to me? Give it
sent? They said no, but I can mention it. And it's not just because the person apologized, but this is the way I talk. The person says, and some of us are colorful with our language, right? On one hand, they're saying, well, it's good that you're saying something publicly, but on the other hand, let me put it in the best colloquial jargon. We get off saying this, and what do you know to be saying what you're saying, especially here? Mm-hmm. I'll put it politely. So,
well, let me just say this for that person, and I hope you're still listening. I came on and I say whatever I want about any politician who take the liberty to go and put themselves on that ballot box, and then by some grace of God get elected. So I say whatever I want, whenever I want, and I can challenge anything and anybody for anything that I say.
All right. So
trust me or not.
So in full disclosure, I don't escape this person's comment. They nicely saying, but really I shouldn't be accommodating this like a couple of other discussions.
Oh, you should be accommodating. Well, they should.
Um,
they shouldn't be sitting quietly in the anonymous bush that they always in, passing comments on every post that everybody see anonymously, simply because they don't have the courage to say it publicly.
No. as you saw me exchanging, and I'm not asking to verify this, but just to understand, I didn't share with you. You didn't ask to be shared.
No.
That was the intent. The reason why I'm saying this publicly is because the person who responded said, "This is not personal. I don't mean any ill to anybody." Right? That's their words. But they're saying that, here we are talking publicly about something that's transpiring. How does that look internationally? I messaged back and said, "But what's the point of ignoring things that are happening?" Go ahead.
Stick a pin.
Yeah, sure.
And this is for the listeners.
No.
This is for the listeners' benefit.
Yeah.
The deputy premier and the minister of finance resign effective immediately. Right? Now, how will that look on the international community as opposed to me you having a conversation as to why it happened? Please tell me. The black eye that they're trying to say we should avoid by not having this conversation already swollen and black and blue and got ice on it.
Okay. But to my point earlier in asking you, again, the little bit I understand about the political landscape, this resignation of a cabinet minister in the UK happens, right? We hear in other similar parliamentary systems, there's a reshuffling of cabinet.
They wasn't around when they removed Boris Johnson, no?
But this is what I'm saying. So this happens. This is not, it's infrequent in the Cayman landscape, but it is par for the course under the system that we have. It's a cabinet reshuffle.
This, what we're having, this dialogue we're having is called political whiplash.
Okay.
So this is our whiplash from what took place politically, and we're having a conversation about it.
Right. So can I ask, and again, only as a person that's trying to learn and understand. So November the 8th, 2001. They then, I think we call the political leader the government business. All right? The others got together and said, we're going to change this political leader to this political leader.
When they did it.
And it happened. It wasn't, some was called it a coup, and, we joked and bantered about it. It probably wasn't in the strictest sense. It was just a change in political leadership. Now, in the, again, just me wanting to understand, in the system that we operate under, right, if the leading political party in the UK, right, has as its leader, as it did under the then, what they call Prime Minister Johnson, they decide to have a new political leader of their political party, which is the party in power. That transpires. The country then has a new Prime Minister. Didn't go to the polls, unlike, say, the political system in the US where a new president is selected. That's the same system that we have here, where the political leader, we call a premier, may choose, okay, John, I'm going to change you for Mary, or Mary might say, I'm going to step aside now for whatever the reasons, right? Not resigning the political seat for the constituency, I'm resigning the cabinet seat for minister of whatever that thing is. And it's business as usual. What's the big deal?
Well, again, like I say, what happened this week was not unique or the first of its kind.
Right.
It has happened.
It may happen again another time.
It may happen sooner than a lot of them think in the same house. So all I'm saying is that, and I respect everybody's views. Obviously.
Right.
I don't mind. I didn't say what I said to take a shot at nobody.
Oh no.
I said what I said because that's how I feel.
Yes, sir.
Right. And I know one thing for sure. If you got two people come at the same age and went to the same school, right? Or different schools, don't matter. Come from the same age group. One person had an inheritance and family support and got everything that they ever needed in life and got the kickstart they needed, which is absolutely fine. And the other person came from humble beginnings with no parents, no nothing, worked their way up to the top and when they get into the working life, they both on the same level. Now, ask yourself this question. If you had to learn from one of the two as an upcoming person, knowing the details of each person's background, who would you want to teach you?
Both.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. So why should I exclude you and why should you exclude me?
Yeah. And this is where that I always appreciate your perspective. You're going to share your opinion, but you're willing to listen. Whether you agree or take on board, you're willing to listen. All right, let's do to our news. When we come back, We're going to announce the winning lottery. Oh, that's a different script.
The news changed since 1 o'clock. We have some new news.
We're going to see what is in the news, man. Join us after.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news. Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road.
The Department of Environmental Health, DEH, is advising the public that its offices and landfills in Grand Cayman and the Sister Islands will be closing at 3 p.m. on Tuesday, March 28th for staff to attend the governor's farewell by civil servants. Garbage collection schedule for this day will not be affected. Meanwhile, the 24-hour drop-off area at the Georgetown landfill will remain open to facilitate the disposal of small residential loads. The DEH offices and landfills will reopen for normal business on Wednesday, March 29th. In international news, 4 or 5 former Memphis police officers charged in the killing of Tyree Nichols, a black man who was handcuffed, brutally beaten, and ignored by first responders for crucial minutes despite being barely conscious, can no longer work as law enforcement in Tennessee. The Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission, or POST, voted Friday to decertify the former officers. They have 30 days to appeal. The U.S. has carried out airstrikes against Iran-linked groups in eastern Syria after a drone attack killed a U.S. contractor, the U.S. defense chief said. 14 pro-Iran fighters were killed, according to a monitoring group. U.S. officials said the airstrikes happened on Thursday night, hours after the drone attack, which U.S. intelligence said was of Iranian origin. U.S. bases in northeast Syria have come under attack before, with the U.S. responding with airstrikes. The U.S. and Canada have reached a deal to reject asylum seekers at unofficial border crossings. Officials said large numbers of migrants have been making unsanctioned crossings via Roxham Road at the U.S.-Canada border. The move closes a loophole created by a 2004 asylum agreement with the U.S. on where migrants have to make their asylum claims. It allowed Canada to turn migrants away at official points of entry, but not at unofficial crossing points. As part of the deal, Canada will now also create a new refugee program for 15,000 migrants fleeing persecution and violence in South and Central America. The new deal extends the asylum agreement along the entire 6,000-mile border and is to go into effect at midnight on Friday. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shanna Gallego.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news. Brought to you by Tropical Plaza on Smith Road. Ultra Lounge and Grill in Tropical Plaza on Smith Road. Party time, anytime. Dine in, happy hour, whether you're vibing, liming, or partying. Ultra Lounge and Grill. Let loose, cause it's always a fete at Ultra Lounge. Call 322-4759 or email ultralounge345@gmail.com to book your next party. Ultra Lounge and Grill, Tropical Plaza on Smith Road. Things come up. That's life. But it doesn't mean I can't show up. From a runny nose, stubbed toes, to earache woes, headaches, backaches, and tummy aches. When things come up, Best Health Pharmacy over-the-counter solutions get you back in the game. Best Health Pharmacy, located at Crown Square Plaza on Eastern Avenue, across from Edie's Decor. Best Health Pharmacy, your health, your convenience is their priority. Best Health Pharmacy also offers free prescription delivery anywhere in Georgetown and West Bay. Call 949-1301 or WhatsApp your prescription to 924-5358.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway Box to Go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks to Mario D. Rankin. I must share, you allow me to laugh sometimes publicly. You certainly allow perspective to be shared. And to that last caller, the one that message, I apologize. I don't think what you shared was intended to be offensive. I don't believe the person's view was anything other than, let's look at it from that public respectful tone as to what is what. As I message back to the person and I say that I would say publicly to you and to the listeners, if we ignore the obvious, if we are not willing to speak publicly about the things that everybody else is here and globally and is on the minds of most, then the only people we're fooling are ourselves, right?
100%.
So it's a yes, there's a time, a place, and there's a way, and I'm trying to learn that. But I can't ignore, and that, the septic is overflowing, and you don't call, industrial services or Watland Hill stuff or, Intech or whoever it is that does that work, and you think it's not going to be fixed. I mean, Mr. Bill Adams said, don't expect to jump into a septic and come out smelling like a rose. Can I read this?
Sure.
I guess I should ask, can I read this and can I see it? So it's hello, Radio Cayman, the CIAA, so I guess that's Cayman's Airports Authority.
Airports Authority,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, has shorted the taxi parking at the airport due to the facts the higher authority at CIAA giving the local expat the permission to park in the line where taxis would have been using. Shame on CIAA. Can you please read this, sir? Thanks. And I read that because I think sometimes we see many times the taxi in the tour. We saw the strike, I guess it was.
Oh, they had a strike?
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
But we've heard increasingly a level of frustration. We've heard them call different members of that profession call publicly and say, we have some issues. We would like to meet with the transport minister at the time, the tourism minister. And there's a significant cost and investment in the operation. So maybe we can talk about that, but we do have another call, and I do apologize. Let's take this call.
Of course.
Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Sterling Dwayne, it's Johan Moxham. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing well, but depends on what you say. I have to figure out how well I'm doing after. Hey, good afternoon, man. How are you?
Well, I'm not going to cuss you and call you a racist or not like that if that's where you were.
You're free to say what you want, Oh, man.
Just calling in. I was driving, listening to the show as I normally do, and I heard the comment that you read out about shortening the parking and so on and so forth.
Yes, sir.
At the end of the day, please, if you need an official statement from CIAA as to how and why that decision was made, we're more than happy to provide that. But the, for the want of a better word, the insinuation that it's to shortchange or to harm anybody is not true. It's not valid. It's a decision that was always part of the plan. The taxi drivers will have appreciated that that they weren't allowed to park there previously, so on and so forth, and we're just trying to find a balance. But I'll have the management team send across something for you to read out, because what was explained there does not provide sufficient information or clarity. It's just an insinuation of some mean-spirited, malicious attempt to harm the taxi drivers. As a Caymanian, as somebody who respects everybody that shows up every day to go to work, I can say this confidently on behalf of the board and management. Nobody's trying to harm any taxi driver in any way, shape, or form. There's a balance to be struck, and sometimes some taxi drivers think that the rules don't apply to them. It's really that simple sometimes, but we will have something sent across to you. I just felt compelled to address the issue. None of us would be part and party of harming anybody from earning a living or shortchanging them, or doing so because of some discriminatory reason or justification. There's a process that we go through. There's safety issues to address, and there's a balance to be struck between taxi drivers, minicab drivers, and passengers who effectively had to walk down to the other end of the terminal to be collected, so on and so forth. But again, something more official than that will be provided if that is what you require, and hopefully you'll be able to read that out on air in the same way that you read the comments from that disgruntled taxi driver, which was at best misleading, but did not paint the full picture of what was transpiring.
Well, I appreciate you hearing that and immediately responding. If you do send it along, I certainly would be. It would be important and timely and certainly respectful to read it. Glad they would do so. We'll also pass it. If it doesn't go directly to our news, we'll also do the same then. And certainly appreciate you adding, the CIA's perspective on it.
No problem, sir. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend and stay safe.
You do it as well, man. And that was Mr. Jan Moxham as he identified himself. But this is where I think the immediacy of radio can assist, the responsiveness of someone like Mr. Moxham under the chairmanship as he has. That comment perhaps requires further clarification, edification. So if he sends it across, Mario, we can share it. But I want to say that to emphasize, is that part of the problem in the Cayman landscape that we take for granted? Everybody knows that.
Well,
people know what it is.
Well,
but
take for instance that Johan happened to listening to the radio to have to have called in to clarify it, right? Because my opinion when it was read out, thank God he called in. Who better to call in? And my opinion was I didn't see an issue with it either. I mean, I really didn't. And to his point, they couldn't partner in the beginning anyway.
Right.
So I mean, again, it's just always somebody.
But they say there's two sides to every story, right?
Yeah, it's always somebody.
Always,
and you can't please everybody. And certainly, I know for sure you can't please all them taxes. Yeah. You just can't do it. But I'm glad he called in and clarified. And now that's a non-issue now, because if he didn't do that, then people who heard that could have developed this opinion in their mind that it was something that there was something wrong there. But because I'm not a person in a position to lend my opinion to influence anybody that it isn't. So
as I read this next message, about parking and the like, but is it then, just for emphasis, is that part of the problem in the Cayman landscape? Do we think everybody knows what's going on, especially the people who are affected by it? So we collectively, don't see the need of timely sending information out to the affected parties, but to the public. Or when we do, we send it in such a way that it really doesn't, inform.
Well, yes. That sometimes that's a undermining factor, because you would hope that in certain areas of government that they would give us information before somebody develop a ill-conceived opinion and share something like they did just now.
Right.
But again, I think in every department there's room for improvement in that regard. But you know what? I'll be honest with you. I'll be very honest with you. I would have never guessed someone would have sent a comment through like that about the airport parking and whatnot, because it's a non-issue for me personally. So I'm saying to myself that when you read it, I was like, but what in the world are they talking about? Like, where that don't even, I mean, I want somebody to tell me how we can reduce the cost of milk and eggs and cost of living. That's what I want here. But since we're on the airport, Mr. Moxham, if you're still listening, I hope I'm trying to figure out, and maybe you could put it in that newsletter. The little security guard gate when you go into the airport to pick up people that I know was implemented during the whole COVID-19 thing, which was needed, I guess. I was just wondering if that's permanent, or are going to stay for long term, or what the situation. Because I know that because and again, I'm not saying they should do anything to accommodate the general public. I'm just saying if there's a reason behind it, or if they're going to keep it in after Ivan, kind of like the whole registration to come home after COVID was lifted, it was still implemented for whatever reason. I just want to know if it's something that's permanent. That's all.
All right, and maybe a better understanding. Because some people are not quite sure. Is it?
Oh, the reason for
it.
Yeah.
Good question, sir. So let's take a call. Why not? Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Good, man. Yeah, with some of these bears, we'd be better.
Boy, I tell you. But you know, there is a lot of things to be concerned about, in especially Grand Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come to the forefront right now and see or say what I see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This island now, and I challenge anybody in authority, it is now the island for the rich and famous. Okay? I pointed a couple of things to you. You look on the Old West Bay Road by the Great House in that area. You see they got it all demarcated off that you cannot park there.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, what in the hell is going on in this country? Who are these people that they can come in here, in my opinion, which I'm entitled to? If you got money, you talk. If you don't have money, just stay on the sideline, old boy. We are up dire straits. And nobody, from my opinion, that we can go to, none. They all just looking for their own benefit, from what I can see. And I'm not afraid to say what I have to say, because what I am saying specifically is correct. Who do you go to? Once they get elected, before that they make you believe that, they're going to bring the sky down. After they're elected, they don't know you, look you straight in the face and don't even speak. It is like when all of these stars go to Nashville on a big concert. That's what I see in the Cayman Islands. There's so many issues into this country. You see cars driving with different color lights. They're driving on the shoulders of the road. Where is the police? You're wondering what's happening to Cayman, and I see they're bringing police all the way from Nigeria. And I can verify their English is not what I would be expecting. Okay? What's going on in this island, gentlemen? Who do you go to? We have seen the best days in the Cayman Islands. And I don't know what's going to happen, but I am about to say something, but I'll say that differently in another time. But boy, it's not pretty here at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you got money, it's fine. If you not got money, just keep quiet.
All right. Hey, thanks very much, sir.
You're quite welcome, sir.
All right, have a good afternoon. And we do have some calls on tour, but we do have the final break. If the callers are willing, just join us after the break.
Crystal Entertainment presents
Sweet Sensation, a 70s, 80s, and 90s event.
This is a grown-up event at the Grand Pavilion Courtyard, Friday, March 24th.
Gates open at 7:30 p.m.
You must be dressed in full black or full white and come on down and dance all night. Get your tickets early, 45 pre-sold and 50 at the door.
Entertainment by Mixmaster DJ Alec, DJ Dave, and for the first time in Cayman, Sweet Sensation welcomes DJ Omar C.
Speed Outlet, Event Pro and Fashion Mart in Boston Building.
Row Variety, centrally located in Tropical Plaza on Smith Road, carrying a wide range of household items, bathroom accessories, towels, clocks, handbags, clothes, shoes, jewelry, and more, and more, and more. You can buy from the big box retailers or support local. The better deals come from shopping local. Row Variety Store, Tropical Plaza, Smith Road. Telephone 924-9553.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Hey, Bill, glad to see you back in the office. Who? Bill.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think you're mistaking me for someone else.
Tom.
Nope.
Jack.
No.
Alex.
No. Want me to just tell you?
Nope, I got this, George.
No, you don't. Still not me.
Adam.
Not even close, man.
We're like a coworker that didn't forget your name. CG Britke. Good like that. Okay, good to see you, Mike John Sean.
It's Mordecai.
Talk to Dick. But I do have some questions. Talk to Dick.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk to Dick.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And we have a few minutes of the program, a few calls online. We have the excellent company of Mario D. Rankin. Let's take some calls.
Sir.
Welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Hello.
Hey, afternoon. How are you?
Great, yeah, man.
All right. Good to hear from you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Big up, Mario. How you doing?
Evening, my boy. Evening.
Yes, man. Hold it down. Hold it down.
Every day, all day.
Yes, man. If you got to talk the truth, talk it. It don't make sense like no more, not true?
No, boy. You can't do that.
No. So, but just one little thing I got to say to along with this, yeah, is that you imagine now you got a farm, right? And you got free workers from the prison, right? And you got a law that puts people up in the prison for basically almost nothing, right? What, that's not some type of modern day slavery you trying to work on me, yeah? Or you think, or you really, or not you, they really think we that fool that we can't tell her?
Yeah.
Come on now, man. Nothing upgrade since when? We not get an upgrade in the pay since when? None of us. We must go bust out there for what?
Yeah, that's true.
Come on now. I mean, that's what I say. No weed, no vote. I'm sorry, man. You got to tell me, say, what you so afraid of it for? You understand?
Yeah.
And for all the people that holding back the truth, it's best that you try to come up with it before it all goes shebang, because you will get caught up in the whole life if you're the one holding back the truth. So, I beg and please, come to our senses and don't wait for April Fools. You understand? Because I really hope they think we didn't know how it go. That's just how it. What he says is that's just how it go, my boy.
Yeah, boy.
You better be along with it or step out the program. That's what the last man just said. All with that.
Yeah, man.
That mentality is always with us. And I gotta leave on it with that. I'm gonna take in the hot sun now. Later.
All right. Later, man.
All right.
All the best, man. All right. Let's take another call.
Yeah, man.
Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hi, darling. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. I'm not sure if I'm tuning in correctly or not. I don't know what you're discussing and who's Mario and what's up. But I kind of heard a caller that I just wanted to tap into something they said a couple of callers ago before the commercial.
Okay.
I think it may have been, I won't call the name.
Okay.
Anyway, good afternoon to you and your guest. And which Mario is it, by the way? Who your mama is?
Who your mama is? Mario D. Rankin. And, if you look on our YouTube channel, you see his face.
Oh,
if you go...
mean Mr. Word of Mouth? Hi. All right, Mario. Good. Anyway, I just wanted to tap into a comment that the previous caller couple of callers ago made just before the break, and he said, about, politicians avoiding you and don't look you in the eye after they get your vote. And that is such a common practice here. I mean, in the recent years, and it's sad that we have people that have that kind of mindset. It's as if they're not serving you. That's why they're running for election, to serve you, the people. You are their servants. You hire them and you give them an X. And it seems as if we've made our politicians, once they've been elected, into these gods, that the people have to bow down to them and praise them. But, I mean, I don't worship no idol. My Bible don't teach me that, and my Christianity don't teach me to worship idols. And I don't consider them an idol. But there is a lot of people in this country that vote for them, that treat them like that and put them up on pedestals and make them feel like they're a god. And that's what is the problem right now. They have to be given all of these, I call it again, red carpet rollouts and constant photo sessions. And, I mean, at the amount of time that they're out there spending taking pictures and talking about this and that, are they actually getting any work done for the people? That's the question I would like to know. Because I do plan to run for the Sister Islands, and I can assure you this. People will see what I do. They will see what I do, and they will know me, and I will know them, and they won't be avoided. That's the thing. You cannot say you're running and you're supporting the people and you're representing the people and you avoid them? Wow. You don't do that. That's unfair to them. They took that time to go and give you their hard-earned vote, because that is a hard-earned vote. And you're going to turn around and treat them like they're nobody. You don't know them. Only people in your district, you may know your handful that you select. That's absolutely wrong. More than them voted for you. And if you had to count on that handful to vote you in, you wouldn't have got elected. So I'm just saying, I agree with that caller. They treat you like you're an outcast, like you're nobody. And people need to stop being sheeple. Stop being a sheeple. Stand up for your rights. You must remember you are their employer, and you let them know that every time you see them. Hey, Mr. Minister so-and-so, you remember I voted for you, Just want you to know. I voted for you. I gave you a job. I don't have one now, but I gave you one. No, don't you turn your back on me. That's that's the mentality of the people have to have now, and the mindset. And I hope the Brackers do the same for Kevin Brack, too. Because they got Deputy Premier now. They need to really hammer her about things need to be done up here. Anyway, just had to have my 2 cents for the weekend. Brack is doing fine. It's nice and cool and sunny today. And so far, we have no craziness going on this week. So I guess other than a few emergencies at the hospital, we're all right.
All right. Well, thanks for keeping us posted, though.
All right.
All right. We'll chat with you again when you get ready. All right. Thanks. Well, Mario, thanks for sharing with us. A lot is unfolding.
Yeah. I just think that, we, to all the callers' point and various topics that we talked about today, especially when it comes to the cultural differences and the able to adjust and adapt and, be able to at least remain in a way that we're somehow resemblance of who we are and where we come from and these different things. So that's important. And, I have a very great concern on the task at hand, and that is to create a sustainable environment for everyone. And we've seen where there's been a lot of emphasis on a lot of different things, but no real priority on the things that matter the most. And that's the sustainability of the small people who are struggling the hardest. And believe me, there are some things that could be done immediately, but again, we try to figure out why it hasn't been, focused on, or it hasn't been prioritized and hasn't been implemented. And, the whole thing with off-reg, I mean, again, that whole attempt with this committee and stuff, I thought it was a step in the right direction. I saw recently where off-reg were given some issues with some guys that doing the container farming and whatnot. Again, these are all small issues that can morph into big issues if we don't deal with them in a timely way. And now that we've seen this whole shake-up in our government, of course our people need to be concerned about these things. And then now today we see the article from the Compass about the governor and the ex-deputy premier. Why are we talking about those things? And then at the very end of all of this, who it is that's still left holding the bag. We are, because it doesn't change the price of grass, it doesn't change the price of food, it doesn't change the price of electricity, it doesn't change the price of healthcare, it doesn't change the price of education. Those things are steadily and consistently climbing to an unreachable position for most people in our islands, and somebody need to do something about it. And whether they want to shoot me as a messenger, that's fine. You understand? Keep shooting. I don't care, but I can keep talking.
All right.
So,
well, thank you for joining us. Always appreciate your perspective. And it's for nothing else, maybe it speaks to a democracy that is healthy, because we can publicly have a discourse, we can disagree, hopefully in a civil way, and hopefully we can find a way that it moves us in a very, very positive direction. A caller says, I want to agree with Mario. Another one said, some very good points and questions raised by you. So, we have to work together. Hey, thank you very much, to you and to all. A wonderful, safe, blessed, safe, truly safe, productive weekend. All right.
Thank you very much for having me, and everybody enjoy the weekend. Have a good one.
Indeed. Well, please join me start Monday morning for the record. Come back for Talk Today. We've got some things in store for you. You're going to be interested in what is transpiring. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours